This is Leslie Eiler Thompson, and it is time for another episode of the Rogue Ones podcast, the podcast where I talk to rogues who are doing extraordinary and fascinating things, and we get to learn from them. We hear their stories, their failures, their successes, their opportunities, and we get to take away from it what we want. Today's guest and I go pretty far back. We met growing up in the frigid cold of Freeport, Illinois as high schoolers, and he is now in Atlanta living an entrepreneurial life as a men's grooming specialist, educator, and barber. He just wrapped filming Atlanta Season 2 as the master barber for the cast and is active in business education for his fellow barbers and self-starters. Yisrael Wright grew up in an entrepreneurial family. His aunt teaches cosmetology school and has shops in our hometown. His mom did nails and now designs celebrity cakes in Atlanta, and his cousin had her own nail salon at age 12. So Izzy grew up in shops and salons all his life, and until he put it all together, he didn't realize he had a future in cutting hair. Today, we talk business practices, providing clients with a top-notch experience, and making the most of relationships that have been graciously put in your path. Enjoy. Explain to me, Master Barber, is that like a distinction? It's
a loose term. Anybody who graduates from barber school and passes the test successfully has the opportunity to be deemed as the Master Barber. However, there are, a lot of not only stipulations, but there are a lot of different things that come with actually embracing that term. Like, that's why I've used the term grooming specialist, men's grooming specialist.
When you graduated from hair school in 2014, what was next for you after that?
I was working in a shop while I was in school finishing, which was risky. Yeah, it was definitely risky because you have to have your license. But they really were like, listen, we know you're at, because I think I might have had like a couple 100 hours left. So that might have been like 2 or 3 months for me to finish. But they're like, listen, if you just show us that you're going to continue to go to school and you do whatever, then, we'll let you work here. And, if something happens and we get a fine, hey, you got to pay it. But, it's, and I'm like, I get it. I get it. Right. But I mean, that was a great stepping stone for me because it just gave me a great platform to like really project my career. Like, it gave me, I built a great foundation as far as a clientele there. I saw what it took to make 6 figures. I saw what it took to like be the first one there, last one to leave. Like, I saw what it took to be in an environment where it was sometimes, uncomfortable, but other times it was like, that was my safe haven. So like, I took a lot from that, and me now working in a suite, it was like, I do miss it from time to time, but I appreciate that opportunity that I had working there. So them, helping me graduate, helping me with my state board, pass that. Then after school, I think I was just so relieved, like, okay, I got my license now.
Right, I'm sure.
Yeah, like, okay, I don't know what the next step is, but I know like it's limitless. My options were just so open. So I started going to more seminars, going to more classes, more shows, more expos, traveling the country more.
What shows and expos? What kind of shows? Like hair shows and expos, or
So it's just like any industry. There's expos. There are pretty much like conferences where barbers from around the country just come, and whether it's educational or it's like demonstration or competition, where it might be like doing the fastest haircut. It's changing more into like pushing education instead of the practical services. It's more like, business education. Because believe it or not, I mean, that's a very important part of our business that we never really learn about, or a part of our profession that we don't really learn about in school.
You mean the actual, here's how you run a business?
Yeah, the actual business part. Yeah. So they teach you, they literally give you a profession in which you can, earn 6 figures fairly like that's realistic. It's very realistic for you to be able to do that. But they don't tell you, okay, well, this money needs to be allocated towards insurance. Right. Money needs to be allocated towards retirement. This needs to be, so it's like they give you a great hustle, But the business part is like something that you have to obtain yourself. And some people just rather just hustle their way through it because it's a lot less stress in their mind. It's a lot easier, less paperwork, whatever. But you don't want to be, operating under the table, under the radar forever when it comes time to you being legit and actually trying to, go to new levels in your profession, because that's going to come up. They're going to need bank statements. They're going to need paperwork that show, okay, you make how much? Okay, well, yeah, you can get this loan for this to open up a second location.
And is that something that you saw the importance of because of your mom's shop and because of all of the family members that you had that were running their own thing?
Definitely. They put the fire under me just to like do things the right way the first time.
I like a lot of the freelance mindset, but there is a difference in freelance is just kind of like whenever, whatever. Even if it is within an industry or within an area of expertise. But business mindset is a thing I'm going to make into a thing for longevity purposes. And whether that end goal is to sell a business or not, I mean, was that something that you even did you even have that idea going into? Yeah, no. That blows my mind.
Yeah. And I think now that business, I would say these are air quotes, business people are having their say so on entrepreneurship. Now they're saying, okay, well, you need to prep your business to be, because it is a step that entrepreneurs miss. Like entrepreneurs do miss like a lot of the quote unquote industry standards or the way that things are supposed to go before you become a legitimate business. So like, I know people talk about, okay, what's your escape plan? Or like, okay, when it's time for your business to be set up or be sold, what percentage are you going to get? And I think that stuff comes in time, but it's really about building your brand to the point where people actually want to buy it. And then let's have that conversation. And I just literally recently, I think a couple of days ago, had a conversation with one of my clients who is a sports agent. Mm-hmm. And he's an NFL sports agent. And his business right now is net worth at $47 million. I know. And he's a full-blown entrepreneur, ex-athlete, professional athlete, baseball and football. But he's like one of the first Black-owned sports agencies in Atlanta. He's got an offer of, okay, hey, well, now I can offer X amount of dollars. I won't even say exactly how much, but it's more than that $47 million. And he was like seriously considering it, to the point where he's like, hey, if somebody wants to buy it, this is what I work for. You can never sell yourself short, and obviously never say never, because you never know where your brand or where your business can go just based off of, the work that you put in. It's going to pay off eventually, but how much is it going to pay off?
Where did you learn? Because as I follow you on Instagram and as I listen to you talk, you have such a great concept of brand building and brand awareness. Where did you learn this? I mean, did you just pick it up along the way?
I mean, when I went to school, I definitely, my focus was business and marketing. Some of it I remember. The rest of it is just case studies. Like I do a lot of case studies, and I just kind of study other businesses, and, whether it's me watching YouTube videos or me literally just going into a place of business and just looking at the things that like make sense. Like this person does this, trying to connect the dots with my industry, because for whatever reason, it's very disconnected from business. It's a hustle mentality for the most part, for most of us. I would say, a large percentage, unfortunately, but just trying to make it like realistic for people to see, like, you're a business and this is how other businesses operate. And this is why they operate like this, because it's, it works. Like they do it like that for a reason. And I definitely brand awareness and just, understanding, positioning and brand placement and just where I want or how I want people to view my business is, it has to be conducted a certain way. I can't be doing everything that other people are doing just because it looks cool or it's fun or it's for the gram. Like I have to be intentional about it.
Something that I love to talk about on this podcast because of just the way that self-starters is failure, and exploring the idea of failure. And I think a lot of people are afraid of it, but I would assume that failure is a great thing, because it teaches you a lot. What are some times that along the way you've experienced failure, and what did you learn from that? What did it allow you to accomplish after you've come through it?
Yeah, that's a great point that you made just about, how failure is actually a great thing. When you're testing your limits and you're trying new things and stepping outside of that comfort zone, as cliche as it sounds, like, it's imperative that you fail. Like you have to, there's no other way that you're going to really learn. I mean, I learn from other people's mistakes, but it's nothing like learning from your own situations, your own experiences, because they hold a lot more value to you, because you could tell me, hey, don't touch that stove because it's going to burn your hand, but I don't know what it felt like
Right.
For my hand, a really big burn. So I don't have to touch it. I could take your word for it, but me doing it lets me know like, okay, I'm never doing that again. Cause I know I know what's going to happen. But, in entrepreneurship, that is a vital part of your growth is you just messing up, you figuring out like what does and doesn't work. I always say like you have to buy into like sucking. You have to buy into like being the worst person at whatever you do. You got to, buy into being the dumbest person in the room because, you have great opportunity being transparent and vulnerable. Like that helps you like become who you really want to be. Like you can't go in thinking that you know everything or trying to be perfect because that's when you're going to mess up. And at that point, you might not learn from that lesson trying to be perfect. If nothing else, you learn, don't try to be perfect because it's impossible.
Right. Yeah. There was something really interesting that my husband told me about. And then I later found a graph for it, but it's Mount Stupid. It's like when you think, oh, I know all these things, suddenly you start to learn more and more about those things and you realize I know nothing at all. Yeah, exactly. And you fall straight down the mountain. You start from the beginning. It is so true. And then, of course, that success graph that we always share all the time where it's like, people think success looks like this, the perfect line.
Yeah.
But it's a big old squiggly. So what are some examples of, because I do like this idea of streamlining what it is that you do. In fact, every 6 months I have a little retreat with myself and I kind of write down all the things that I did over the last 6 months. What did I love? What didn't I like? What was I good at? What wasn't I good at? And each time more stuff gets crossed off. Not going to offer this anymore. Not going to do this anymore. What is that for you? What is your specialty in your field, and how is that a special thing to you that you've come across, or was it very systematic how you came across it?
That's funny that you say that. It's just about, I call it self-auditing, but it's the exact same thing, like a self-audit. But I try to do that on a consistent basis too. Even it might not even be 6 months. I might give myself 2-3 weeks. Like, listen, this worked, this didn't work. What do I need to do? What follow-up calls? What emails do I need to send out? Who do I need to reach out to? I'm trying to do the best that I can as far as like laying the foundation for what I would want my employees to do without me.
Watching your Instagram, there are all sorts of the thing that came to mind was doodads. That's a stupid word for it. But you have all of those incredible, like, I don't know, where's my brain today? Doodads. That's a very professional thing to say.
That's fine, because I get it.
But like the steaming, there's a lot of like steaming tools that you use for people's faces, right? And so it seems to me you are curating an experience for your guests and your clients, which is very different from just come to Great Clips and get your hair kind of cut.
That was something that I prided myself on because I offer so many other services. Master barber is fine, but grooming is different than barbering because it's got.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it has a different mindset. It's way more acquired. It's way more intentional. It's way more like detailed because now you're addressing specific needs of each individual client. For me, it's a little bit longer, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. However, the price point is higher. The actual delivery is better. The experience is different. So I can make, in that same hour that you might make, $40, $50 if somebody was just, cutting hair for $25 or $30, I can make $100 in that same hour with one client offering just the full experience. So I can make $100 an hour easily, creating the experience, like creating a different type of experience that people felt like the 5 senses were touched by you coming to.
The first time I understood the importance of experience was when I went to Disney for the first time at age 24.
Oh, that's great.
That's
great. I use that as an example all the time.
Do you really?
I always do, yes.
I would love to hear you talk about it because I'm sure if you use it all the time, I'm sure you're much more eloquent about it than I am. But I do.
I want to hear it. Yeah, I want to hear what you say because it might help me out too.
So 24 years old, we never ever went to Disney growing up. I happened to be down there for a work trip. I was going to have a day. And I, first of all, cried the whole time. I mean, I was there 2 hours early. And so I rode the monorail for 2 hours. I was just so excited. And I got my silly little ears and I stood and I watched the beautiful show that they have where the characters come in on the train and they sing at you.
Mm-hmm.
And just in my head, I thought, I never thought I'd get to come here. I never thought I get misty thinking about it now. And, but you walk in and you hear all these stories about how Walt Disney watched how many paces someone would walk before they threw their trash on the ground. And it was 30. So you don't walk 30 paces without a trash can being near you.
Right.
And the people and what they said to you, and the people were so sold out to what they were doing. We're not going to pretend like this is something it's not. This is
it's
a
not
Disney
regular
experience.
Yeah, this isn't normal. Yeah.
So what is your takeaway from the Disney?
I mean, I feel the exact same way, like with the exclusive experience, and that's what I call it. But, that's what I call my suite right now. So with the Disney, I just, as far as like price point, like everything that you named had nothing to do with price. You didn't talk about how much it costs. You didn't talk about, you were talking about the other things that made more sense to you.
Right.
And, me looking at it from both sides, from both ends, like as a consumer and as a producer, I wanted to make the most sense for both of us. So when Walt Disney said, okay, if I spend $12 on this garbage can, that's fine because it's going to save me X amount of dollars from, people actually having to come and pick the garbage up, whatever the case may be. But that experience, because it all has to make sense. People pay attention to stuff, especially when it comes to higher priced things. So, I put myself in an environment where I was like, I can control it as much as possible from sanitation to the layout, to the decor, to any of the extra things that I have from, water, adult drinks to granola bars, mints, just cigars, things that, would add to the experience to make people like, okay, well, this makes sense. Even if I am paying $100 an hour or $100 for the service, cool, I'm fine with that because, I know I see him investing into, the full experience for it to really make sense.
So do you own your own shop at this point, or what is your current?
I'm a suite owner right now. When you're in bigger settings with more people, sometimes it gets, a little loose. But some people like that one-on-one attention because it really gives them a different experience that, they're not used to. So, I have my times where I'm like, man, being in the shop wouldn't be bad, but I've gained a lot of information and like had a lot of different kind of conversations with my clients that I probably wouldn't have in an open setting just because there's so many ears, so many eyes, so many comments that could be made. Yeah. It sometimes it gets a little loose. So
you said the example of your client who is the sports agent. Mm-hmm. Is that the type of clientele that you're seeing all the time? People who are very entrepreneurial at the top of their game? I would imagine if it is, you're getting a lot of information and knowledge just by talking to them.
Bingo. Yeah. So, I mean, that's something, and I know we'll get into it later, but with the book, that was kind of the premise of the book. Like me being able to have those conversations with people and finding that silver lining between like, okay, well, you're a Fortune 500 company and I'm a year 4 entrepreneur. What are my similarities? What are the differences? And going back to him is he said, one of the chapters he actually used as the topic of conversation for one of his meetings.
Really?
Out of the book. Yeah. So It was trust. Well,
let's talk about the book then for a second, because that is absolutely one of the things I wanted to talk about.
So Entrepreneur, What I Wish I Would Have Told Me is locking into the 12 key intangibles of entrepreneurship. So, with intangibles, these are things that you can't touch, can't feel. You can feel them, but you can't touch them. They're not, really on the physical side, but you actually have them already. Or you can obtain them without anybody giving you like the okay to do so. So what I did was I broke down the word entrepreneur into an acronym. So for each letter of the word entrepreneur, I gave an intangible word that I felt was like either underused or maybe underappreciated that people didn't even pay attention to. It's like, well, you can be an entrepreneur, but these are the things that if you focus on these things, you'll reveal a business that you didn't even really know that you had. E is energy. N is networking. T is trust. R is resourcefulness. The other E is experience. Chapter 6 is P and passion. R, relationships. Chapter 8 is education. Chapter 9, negativity. Chapter 10, everybody ain't able. Chapter 11, unapologetic. And chapter 12, respect.
How long had you been working on this?
Like I said, it literally came over conversations that I can't remember exactly who it was. It was either Tony Robbins.
Is Tony a client of yours?
No, I wish Tony Robbins was a client of mine. I wish Tony Robbins was a client of mine.
Don't we all?
Yeah. No, so it was between either him, Les Brown, and E.T., the hip hop preacher. And between those three, like those were when I started getting into pushing positivity and kind of just embracing mindset and what it really was about, especially in business. I started listening to them a lot more. And this one word, intentional, like it just stuck out like a thorn. I was just like, intentional. I'm like, I get it. But like really being intentional. And then when I started doing it, I was like, whoa, like the results I'm getting are like way different. So I was having intentional conversations with my clients, just asking them about specific things, whether it was, literally from each chapter of the book, whether it was relationships, whether it was, personal experiences. And again, because I deal with the person that has a $47 million company, and I deal with the person that might have, just landed their first job out of college, that's been in college for 6-7 years, just got their master's degree, and they're trying to figure out, how can I put this together and actually, make money?
Right.
And I just kind of closed that gap of being that person like, okay, I know the person that actually is doing this right now, that's trying to get where you are. And then I also know the person that's struggling, but like there's things that they're missing out on. So I was that middle piece. I was that centerpiece. So I was able to pretty much tell the person, that's in college, okay, this is something that you need to do. And also I was able to tell the person that was $47 million, like, listen, I understand what you got going on, but don't jump over these things or don't, forget about these things because you might be looking too hard when these things are right in front of you.
So one of your recent projects, you were the head barber for season 2 of the show Atlanta.
Yeah.
How?
Well,
what was that path? What an incredible experience.
Yeah, definitely. It was a referral from a close friend. Somebody I definitely consider like a brother to me, from out here. And his mother actually was the mentor for the department head. He was working on a film at the time, and he, was like, listen, I got a great opportunity for you. If you can do it, definitely take advantage of it. It's Atlanta. And I had already watched Atlanta season 1. Like I was an active watcher. So, me, I'm like, man, I definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
So, I made it work. And the thing about it is, life is just crazy. Life is so
wonderful.
It's wonderful, but it's just like whenever you think, and this is just a word of encouragement, like whenever you think like I can't do anymore, like think about how many times you said like I can't do anymore. Like I literally was in a position where I was moving. I was working the film, like, and mind you, call times might be like 4 a.m, 3 a.m. I was figuring out where I wanted to work because my lease had ended at my suite that I was at previously. So I was working from home. I had an in-home suite that I had built, and I was working from there. And like I said, I was moving. So it was like 3 different things, just like things that needed my full attention that I was making happen. And it was a lot, but, got through it, and made it work. And then to see where Atlanta went in the second season, for them to, be on the third season, definitely hope I'm a part of that, because you never know, things happen. Yeah. But, just to be a part of season 2 was amazing. To be around some elite people that are literally killing it in their industry, from Donald Glover to Lakeith Stanfield to Brian T. Henry, Zazie Beetz. Like I was around Cat Williams. I was around Mike Vick. I was around like people that were like literally like top tier in their industry. It's just like, it's dope to be able to enter. And again, I had the same experience as I had when I was writing the book with people sitting in my chair, me having those conversations. I get the stuff that a lot of people don't get to hear. And I saw a lot of people's transparency, especially with the main cast. I got to see them on a consistent basis. So it was like, wow.
Yeah, so you were literally the dude for all
the head barber.
Oh my goodness.
That was the head barber. Now, I did have the opportunity to cut Donald Glover one time as far as like his beard. But other than that, that was my hair and makeup team. You know.
So it was really collaborative. Like there were a whole bunch of y'all working together.
Oh my God. Yes, it was so collaborative. It took a lot of parts for that to actually come to life. And it was amazing. Yeah. It was amazing. Like being around Donald, so cool. Being around Lakeith.
What's he like in real life?
He's exactly how you would think he is. Like based off of what you see, he's so chill. He's so cool. Like you wouldn't know it was his show. He's not, oh, yo, this is my show. Like it's nothing like that. Like he's really chill. He literally just got security this season. He went to, they had a mall scene. It was one of the episodes. I think it was like episode 3 or 4 maybe.
Okay.
When they went to a mall and people actually started like recognizing him. Yeah. And asking for autographs and asking for pictures. And then it got like a little, out of hand. It was like, oh, shoot. Like, hey. So he ended up getting security.
Are you, and you're speaking and you're traveling the world? Because Labor Day you're going to, not Labor Day.
Haiti.
Yes, Labor Day.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend. Yeah, I am.
So where did that desire for education and for actively going out and speaking and educating people, where did that come from, do you think?
Well, my grandfather was a pastor. My father is an elder. And I think just that speaking, it was, being raised in the church, it was obviously prophesied before I even knew what they were talking about. Like, oh, yeah, you're going to be a preacher or you're going to be a speaker or whatever. So.
Well, it doesn't, I will say, knowing you from a young age, it's not at all surprising, by the way. I mean, you were always the one that had the most charisma and everybody loved Izzy. And I don't know if you still go by Izzy, but of course that's how I know you. Good. This has been so fun. Thank you for
definitely
chatting with me. Yisrael Wright can be found on the World Wide Web at YISRAEL Wright, WRIGHT.com, on Instagram at exclusive, and that is spelled YIZCLUSIV. Check him out, give him a follow, and check out his book. It's an incredibly helpful look at the entrepreneurial lifestyle with some really practical ways to move forward on your dreams of entrepreneurship. That's all for today, my Rogue friends. You can follow along with the Rogue Ones podcast at Rogue Ones Podcast on Instagram, and you can follow along with me at Leslie Gone Rogue. As always, a special thank you to Ryan Swinehart of Sick Island Studios for making this sound just fabulous. You have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.